I spoke about Mortal Kombat in a previous video, and I showed how one of the authors said that they don't want to have Johnny Cage in the movie because they can't view how a white character can be the hero, especially not a person like Johnny Cage. And as such, they decided to introduce someone by the name of Cole Young, Lewis Tan, a random character that doesn't appear in the video games, no one knows. It's as if going to watch Street Fighter, the movie, and you get Sagat and Ryu on the poster, and there's this character, Bob, a rando, who manages to defeat Sagat and then shakes hands with Ryu and goes like, yeah. Why did they do this? Really bizarre. But again, they did this because they don't view that white men like Johnny Cage can be the hero. Which is why I decided to become a progressive individual. I am boycotting the Mortal Kombat movie. If it's going to be really great, I'll probably go to a friend's house and see it. But I will not buy it. I will be like a progressive who refuses to buy the Chick-fil-A. But it's not because the director doesn't like white people. No. They're whitewashing. See, now I have a perfect reason, a perfectly acceptable reason to say why I don't want to watch Mortal Kombat. It's whitewashing. I cannot think of any crime that is worse than whitewashing. Can you think of one? I personally cannot. I mean, in my opinion, a free society, one that is not a fascist society, should imprison authors that whitewash. It should be a crime. Like, it should be in the code of laws. 50 years in prison. Maximum prison, by the way, because maximum solitary prison. So that the ideas of the evil person that even thought about whitewashing should not radiate like a toxic radiation into society. Apparently, the actor which plays Jax in the new Mortal Kombat movie is saying how Raiden was played by a white actor. You see, Raiden, the fictional character, I know there is actually a god Raiden, but the Raiden from Mortal Kombat is fictional. Right? It's just maybe inspired from reality, but he's got different personality. He's got like a different backstory. But the actor, like he did some investigation. He was like Sherlock Holmes. He went there and did a 23andMe on the actual god Raiden from our world and realized that it cannot, like, can you imagine like a person of a different race playing Raiden? I mean, come on, like clearly Raiden's mother and Raiden's father were Asian, and as such, a god cannot be played by a white character. He actually goes on and says that, not to take anything away, but the Japanese thunder god, Lord Raiden, in the 90s was a guy by the name of Christopher Lambert. And Christopher Lambert is guilty of one sin. He was born wrong, all right? Like, he's not Japanese. He's a fantastic actor, but what we've done in Hollywood for way too long is help America launder its own bigotry. Absolutely. This is why I don't support Mortal Kombat. So, I'm not going to give a single money to this movie, which is built on a franchise guilty of whitewashing. So I'm going to make the actor who plays Jax, what is his name? Brooks, Mr. Brooks. I am going to make your dream come true. I will not fund this project. I guess he's like collateral damage now because my money also isn't going to go on his paycheck. But I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Like, knowing that I have encouraged whitewashing on the big screen is something that I just cannot do. I'm a progressive person. I'm born again progressive now. All of a sudden, I see the light. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh yeah, why should I fund this atrocity? It's built on systemic racism. The Mortal Kombat franchise has systemic racism in it. If in the original movie you had Lord Raiden played by a white guy, then everything is systemic, all the way to the current film. And if they make a sequel, that would be systemic racism as well. It cannot run away from its roots. Japanese actor Tadanobu Asano plays Lord Raiden, the protector of Earthrealm, in the 2021 Mortal Kombat, making a notable change from the previous movie. I don't care. It's systemic. Like, the history of racism is there. You can't just change it and you say, well, now it's different. No. It's like America. The United States is systemically racist. Why? Because of its history. of its history built on oppression. And this is the very same with Mortal Kombat. You can cast as many Asian actors as you want now. You can have Mortal Kombat made by South Korea with entirely Asian it would still be a problem because of its roots. You need to start thinking like a progressive a decent human being, okay? You can't just think in the backwards ways. It's like, oh, well, and look, he also talked about casting Scarlett Johansson as Ghost in the Shell. Oh my God, horrible. Now, I know what some of you might say, and it's like, but V, what about casting Idris Elba in the Dark Tower? Because you went and you saw the Dark Tower. Why did you do that, V? Well, first of all, according to the BBC diversity officer, Idris Elba isn't authentically black. I mean, we gotta take the opinions of experts on this issue. It's not what I'm saying, it's what they're saying. But second of all, due to the historical grievances that Hollywood has inflicted upon the world, if you have, like, let's say, a black person playing the role of a white person, like you have with the Queen of England, right? Like it's going to be a black person playing her. Or in Sweden, there's another black actor playing a famous historical Swedish person. That's okay. That's called reparations. All right? It's reparations. It's the people alive today should benefit from the suffering of the people in the past. And the people who didn't do anything in the past should suffer because of what their ancestors did. Assuming, by the way, that it is called suffering to see the incorrect heritage of an actor playing the role. In fact, I think I would take it a step further. I think that no human being should be able to play a god. Because gods, like in this case Raiden, right? Or if you want to play Thor in Marvel, these roles should not be able to be cast by humans. Like, think about it. Gods in the past were a minority. How many Olympian gods were there? There were like 20, maybe 30, right? Like a very, very small minority. And as such, all minorities lack privilege and they need to be protected. So the only way you could have someone play the role of a god like Raiden is if that person was a god themselves. You know what? I'm even going to be a little bit more lenient. They can be a demigod. Okay, so maybe Hercules can play Zeus. But like that is the line. That is the line that I have to draw. You cannot have, and you know what? Like, we need to apply this logic everywhere. Like, you couldn't have a cancer patient being played by a patient with not cancer. You wouldn't be able to star me as Charles Xavier because I'm not a person stuck in a wheelchair. And if you have like because this is another thing that people ask. It's like, but what do you do if you have, let's say, Charles Xavier, like they had in the previous X-Men? For half of the movie he can walk, and for the other half he's stuck in the wheelchair. Find identical twins. Like one identical twin that's in a wheelchair and another identical twin that can walk, and then you can properly switch them around so you can have the authentic experience. Mortal Kombat could be the start of a brand new franchise with Sub-Zero actor Joe Taslim even revealing he signed a 5-movie contract. Should the reboot be a success and lead to more installments? Hopefully it's not going to be, because again, I don't want to fund racist movies. Mortal Kombat can help usher in a new wave of diverse blockbusters. No, I'm sorry. No, it's the history of racism, which means that it should be dismantled. Otherwise, you're just pretending to care about these issues. Like, this is the most serious issue. The worst thing that Hollywood can do is whitewash. And if an IP whitewashed in the past, it's over. Like, that IP is tainted forever. It's like the English flag. You know, the English flag was tainted by racists, and now you can't use it. Even if it only receives one movie, it has clearly improved upon the original in at least one meaningful way. No, it absolutely hasn't. I mean, while I do appreciate that the author of this think piece is enlightened and understands that money doesn't matter when you make a movie, like the financial profit is actually evil. We need to move away from shareholder capitalism into stakeholder capitalism, as Klaus Schwab likes to say, which means that the company should care about all the people it affects with its product. And it also doesn't matter like how many fans the movie has, like none of that matters, right? And he talks that the most important thing a movie does is representation. Absolutely, I 100% support this. But again, like, you're thinking too small. like this writer is reactionary in what he is saying. Just because a movie tries to change, that doesn't mean it can move away from its racist past. It's over. It's like, no, fini. There is no more Mortal Kombat movies that can ever be made. You need to think of a new IP. Like, you need to think of a completely different product and create something new entirely, something that is pure and original. You can't just go back to the old. Like, you need to forget about the old. Destroy it if you have to. So that is my opinion, all right? See, I'm now a progressive person, and I have a good reason not to watch this movie. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.